Imagine a crawl space so tight it could crush your ribs. A passage called Superman's crawl because you have to keep one arm pinned to your side just to squeeze through. Beyond that, a 40-foot vertical drop into the pitch black. In 2013, explorers pushed into the deepest chamber of the Rising Star cave system in South Africa. They expected to find nothing. No animal, not even a leopard, could get back here. There was zero light, zero oxygen flow. But when the flashlights hit the floor, the team stopped breathing. It wasn't just one skeleton. It was a graveyard, hundreds of bones. But they weren't modern humans, and they weren't the apes we evolved from. They were something else, something with the hands of a toolmaker, the feet of a traveler, but a brain the size of an orange, and a face that looks like a distorted reflection in a nightmare. Meet Homo naledi, the Nightwalkers. Tonight, we're going into the dark to find out why a creature with the mind of a primate was performing a ritual we thought only humans understood. And more importantly, why did they look so alien? Before we talk about how they looked, we have to talk about where they were. The naledi chamber is a geological trap. To get there, you have to be small, very small. The lead scientists actually had to put out an ad looking for tiny, skinny researchers who weren't claustrophobic. They ended up with an all-female team of underground astronauts. Here is the first mystery. There are no tooth marks on these bones, no signs of a flood carrying them in, no death trap fall. These individuals didn't stumble in. They were carried there. That means Homo naledi was navigating a complex multi-level cave system in total darkness. To do that, you need two things: fire and a reason. Why would a creature that lived 300,000 years ago, long before modern humans dominated the region, risk their lives to drag their dead into the furthest, darkest corner of the earth? When the bones were finally reconstructed, the uncanny valley effect hit the scientific community hard. Homo naledi is a mosaic of things that shouldn't exist together. Their shoulders are positioned high and forward like an ape's. They were built for climbing, swinging through trees, or more likely, scaling the jagged walls of caves. This is where it gets creepy. Their wrists and palms look almost exactly like yours. They were built to handle tools. They had the precision grip of a master craftsman. But their fingers, they were long and curved like hooks. They stood about 4 feet 9 inches tall, but they weren't monkeys. They walked completely upright. If you saw one standing in the woods at dusk, from a distance, you'd think it was a human child, until it turned around. The face is the alien part. Their skulls have a prominent brow ridge and a tiny brain case. We're talking less than half the size of a modern human brain, and yet they were doing things we thought required a massive, complex brain. This challenges everything you were taught in school about evolution. The standard theory is bigger brain equals smarter behavior. But Homo naledi had a brain the size of a gorilla's, yet they potentially mastered fire. They potentially buried their dead. Recent discoveries even suggest they may have carved symbols into the cave walls, rock art, 100,000 years before Homo sapiens did. If a creature with an orange-sized brain can have a religion or a sense of the afterlife, then what does that say about us? Maybe they didn't need a big brain because they weren't thinking like us. Maybe their brains were wired for the dark. If you spend your life in the shadows, being small is an advantage. Being agile is survival. But looking human while acting like a ghost, that's why we feel that primal chill when we look at their reconstructed faces. They are the uncanny valley of our own family tree. Homo naledi lived at the same time as the early ancestors of Homo sapiens. We likely shared the same rivers, so why are we here and they are only found in the bottom of a dark pit? Some scientists think we simply outcompeted them. Others think we were the reason they fled into the caves in the first place. Imagine being a night walker, smaller and weaker than the new, tall, massive-brained humans moving into your territory. The caves weren't just a graveyard, they were a sanctuary, a place where the tall ones couldn't follow. We like to think of evolution as a straight line from primitive to advanced, but Homo naledi proves that the past was much weirder. It was full of side quests, species that took a different path, into the dark. Next time you're in a basement or a quiet forest and you feel like something is watching you from a space too small for a person to fit, just remember the night walkers. They were the masters of the tight spaces, and they're still down there, waiting to tell us their secrets. If you thought Homo naledi was strange, you need to see our video on the ghost DNA found in modern humans, the species we know exists but have never actually found. Click here to watch, and don't forget to subscribe to Primeval Life for your daily dose of the ancient world. Stay curious and stay out of the dark.